Now I'd like to talk about dosage and the endocannabinoid system. So, one of my pet peeves is talking about dosage. It's so important. In our company, it's one of our main things we look at because, believe it or not, in humans, there's 100-fold difference in dosage. And I can't say that enough, 100-fold. What that means is one patient could need 1 milligram, the other patient needs 100 milligrams. So it's that big of a dosage range. And on top of it, cannabinoids in the end have a bell curve. You see this bell curve here? What that means is there's a sweet spot right here. If I take too much, it actually gives a negative effect in the body. You get the opposite. You can take a little bit of cannabis and it can, I'll give an example. You give a little bit, it actually lowers appetite. You do too much, you have the munchies. So it's this type of idea, right? So finding that sweet spot is really where the personalization of this plant comes in, and the fact that a practitioner, they can personalize a patient through pattern differentiation on a holistic way. That's where really the jam is for me. That's where we really need to go after, because the more we can come up with the personalization, we can start to conquer that dosage problem. Also, it's a fat molecule, so people absorb fat molecules completely different. There's studies showing that somebody can take a cannabinoid in the morning and have a 30% absorption, and in the evening a 60%, in the same person in the same day. Because the intestines are going to absorb things differently. Fat is a different molecule to absorb than a water-soluble. So again, because it's a fat molecule, dosage is even more important. One of the things we look at often is to get it directly into the bloodstream. Because if I get it directly into the bloodstream, I'm not dealing with this malabsorption, and I'm not dealing with liver metabolism, which is going to create this doubling effect, right? It's going to change the molecule. So we have things like transdermal patches that are just incredible because you don't need a lot often, right, to help. And we can get this long-lasting, really consistent dose into the body through the blood. Another one is sublingually, through lozenges and sublingual sprays, directly into the bloodstream through the oral mucosa or through your mouth. Another one is inhalation, which we'll talk about in a second. But just again, dosage, endocannabinoid, you take too much, you start downregulating it. You don't take enough, you're not going to have effect. I've treated a lot of patients that say, hey, cannabis doesn't work for me. And I look at their dosage range and it was just completely off. So by working with them over time, we found that sweet spot, and that becomes actually the thing that helps them the most. So they'll turn off on it because they don't know the dosage, because there's 100-fold difference. I'll give you an example. Is what people are finding is CBD helps with sleep, but it needs to be around 80 to 100 milligrams before you sleep to have effect, right? So if I'm taking 10 milligrams, it's not going to maybe have effect on me, but then there could be somebody else where that 10 milligrams can have effect, right? So it's, again, there's this big dosage range, but the sweet spot for the majority of people tends to be 100 milligrams, 80 to 100. So that's where we really need to play with this. That's where seeing a practitioner is so important, right, to understand this. So that's dosage.